Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Unlocked podcast, the podcast where we unlock the latest tech news, leaks, and rumors in the world of tech, in particular, the world of Apple. I am one of your hosts, Benji from BenObi Tech, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow co-host, Taylor from Mr. Smartwatch. And today, we have another very special guest that we are really excited to have on the show today. We have Vyyyper, the man about tech, the captain of Team Apple. How's it going?
Woo! What's up, Benji? What's up, Mr. Smartwatch? How are you doing? How y'all doing? We live. What's going on?
We are doing amazing. Thank you so much for asking.
Very, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a while since I guess we have me and you at least have had a conversation on the live stream or even here pre-recorded on this podcast. It's great. It's great to catch up and to see you again. It's good.
Indeed. All right, feelings mutual, man. Let's do this.
Awesome. Well, today we have a pretty interesting episode for you guys. We have quite a bit of news topics to talk about. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Apple. We don't have iPhone 14 news again, which is yay, because we've had that every single episode since the start, apart from the last episode as well. But we're going to be talking about the iPhone 15 instead. So there you go. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about the Apple Watch Series 8 and some new leaks that have surfaced recently by the infamous John Prosser. And we also going to be talking about an Apple TV update that will be coming later on this year. We're also going to be talking a little bit about some things that Apple will be working on with software within the next couple of months, I guess, with new iOS 16 coming out. We're also going to be covering a little bit of Google I/O since we weren't able to do that last episode because we recorded it like a couple hours before Google I/O, I think it was, or maybe the day before. I can't remember. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about Elon Musk and more drama that's happening with him buying Twitter. So and also after that, we're going to ask Vyyyper a few questions if we have time. So starting off with our first topic, Taylor, do you want to pull that up and introduce it for us, please?
Sure, absolutely. So Bloomberg confirmed Apple is testing iPhones with USB-C ports. What do you guys think? What do you think, Vyyyper?
Bruh. We have been talking about the possibility of iPhone coming with a USB-C port for the longest time. I'm at the point, gentlemen, where I won't believe it until I see it, okay? There's all these leads, rumors, myths, speculation. I don't care. I want to see an iPhone with a USB Type-C port. Until Tim Cook walked on that stage and said, "Good morning. Here's an iPhone with USB Type-C," the Vyyyper will not be convinced.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. Like, we've been hearing so many times, oh yeah, USB-C is coming to iPhone this year, and then renders come out, and it's like there's no USB-C port on this thing. So we'll see. I mean, with what the EU is trying to do, it seems like they're trying to force Apple into doing this, because I think Apple was probably just going to keep Lightning until they remove the port entirely, but I guess now they're going to kind of be forced to swap. But I mean, we've heard from Ming-Chi Kuo and from Mark Gurman that this is going to be happening. They're two pretty reliable sources, but they also have both been wrong in the past. So take any leak or rumor with a grain of salt, including this USB-C. Which I mean is exciting. I've kind of switched to more of a USB-C ecosystem in the past couple months, and Lightning is really an inconvenience at this point. So it would be nice if the iPhone had it also. But Taylor, do you have any thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
I personally, I don't know. I was on the fence about it. I mean, for a while we were hearing that it was going to go to USB-C, and then a lot of people were saying it was going to go portless. I kind of prefer USB-C over portless. Yes, a lot of people are already doing wireless charging, with their phones and stuff. But to see everything go that route, I think it's going to be a long time away. So I do think this is the right choice for right now.
Yeah, I think until they can figure out how to perfect MagSafe and finding a way of getting data transfer through, I think it'll be interesting to see. But talking about USB-C, Ming-Chi Kuo also commented about the fact that in the foreseeable future, Apple's also planning on switching the Magic Keyboard, mouse, and trackpad, the MagSafe battery pack, and pretty much any accessory that has Lightning right now that Apple is currently selling and has future plans to continue selling. Those will eventually switch to USB-C as well. Probably, I think it's going to happen after they switch the iPhone to USB-C. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
It will be long overdue. It is well past time for Apple to have some congruency in their charging ecosystem. Why does the captain of Team Apple, who owns multiple Apple devices, have charging? We got inductive charging on the Apple Watch. I got a Lightning port for the iPhone, a USB-C port or charging thing for the iPad. It's ridiculous. The Apple ecosystem is supposed to work together, but when it comes to charging your devices, it's like you're fighting each other. I should be able to take one cable on the go when I travel. But no, if I own like multiple Apple devices, I have to find multiple charging cables to be able to charge all my devices. It's annoying. It's long past time that this has changed. So I hope this comes to fruition.
Yeah, I do too. In an ideal world, everything either has USB-C or everything's just wirelessly charges, including iPads and Macs. But I think we're a bit far from at least those two devices gaining wireless charging or MagSafe of some sort. But it's exciting to see that Apple is kind of moving into kind of that more unified direction with charging. It's gonna make things a lot simpler for all of us, really. Even though the average consumer probably doesn't care, but I care. So
yeah,
I'm sure you guys care as well. But yeah, Taylor, do you have any other thoughts before moving on to the next topic?
Nope.
All right. So, moving on, we are getting more rumors that the next Apple Watch is going to have flat sides. I won't believe this until I see it, because I was very disappointed last time. I think a lot of people were, or more shocked really than disappointed. I was like, it was even funny how they kind of trolled everyone. They're like, "Oh, by the way, it's the roundest Apple Watch we've ever made." Something like that is like the complete opposite of what it was supposed to be.
And then everybody, go ahead.
But yeah, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think it's actually happening this time? Do you think it's gonna be the rugged watch, or what is your speculation on square Apple Watch?
No, Benji, no. Last year we got hoodwinked, we got bamboozled, we got tricked. Everybody thought that we were going to get this new flat Apple Watch last year, and Apple was like, ha, 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 look at y'all, stop playing. It's not happening. So, again, as I said earlier in the podcast, this is one of those things where not until Tim Cook walks on stage flexing his thin, squarely flat-out Apple Watch will the Vyyyper believe in a new Apple Watch redesign. But what I will say is that we are well past due for a redesign of the Apple Watch, so I think it is more likely this year. But I am not counting my chickens until they hatch in front of my face.
Well said.
I agree.
For sure.
I agree. I honestly, I was shocked to see that people like John Prosser were saying it. So many leakers were saying, "Oh, it's gonna happen, and then all of a sudden it didn't. So, for it to come out this year, I really hope so, because there's a lot of people talking about these leakers saying, what happened, how do they be wrong, and so for their sake, I hope that it comes out.
Who knows? Maybe it was supposed to happen, but then because they hit production issues and maybe COVID kind of slowed everything down, so they had to kind of go with an easier design to manufacture. That might have been it, and so they just delayed the design until this year. But I mean, it would be nice if we got a full redesign of the Apple Watch. We've had the same design since the original. We've just had the screen get bigger and maybe the sides get a little bit rounder and flatter. But yeah, I think it would be cool to see a little bit of a refresh on the Apple Watch front. But I guess, you have any other thoughts?
I don't know. It seems like last year, Apple kind of figured out that they had a leaking problem, and it seems like they have made efforts to combat said leaking problem. So it seems like a lot of leakers got a few things wrong last year because Apple went out of their way to try to patch that stuff up. So it'll be interesting to see just how accurate these Apple leaks are this year, because it seems like they are actively combating them. So we'll find out what happens.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Sure. Taylor, do you want to move on to the next topic then?
Sure. So Apple now offering refurbished 2020 iPad Air 4 models. Let me see here. I'm opening the thing. What are you guys' thoughts?
I mean, I'm still not going to move from my opinion that the 2018 iPad Pro is probably the best iPad you can buy right now, even better than this, just because you've got 120 hertz, you've got Face ID, you've got a bunch of other things. Yes, it's a bit of an older iPad, but I mean, if you're looking for like something that's refurbished, like this iPad, then definitely go for it. Even though I think Apple also sells the 2018 iPad Pro refurbished for almost the same price as this, if not maybe less. I don't know. And it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if people want the iPad Air, if you prefer Touch ID for whatever reason, you want the other color options, maybe you want it to last longer, then this will definitely be a good option for you. But Vyyyper, what are your thoughts?
So basically, I kind of agree with you, Benji. The iPad Pro 2018 is probably a better value at this point. And I would also say, if you want a smaller form factor, the 2021 iPad mini, even though it costs a little bit more than these refurbished models, that might be a better value as well. It's smaller, it has a newer processor, and it is doing some good things as well. So you have options. It's nice to have options as a consumer, and that's what Apple is giving us with these iPads.
Yeah, for sure. And I love what they're doing with the refurbished stuff as well. I think over the past few years, they've been doing a lot more refurbished products, at least that I've noticed, like what they used to in the past. And yeah, it's a great way for people to get into the ecosystem without having to buy brand new and without having to go onto like Facebook Marketplace and get some dodgy seller that's going to sell them a Chinese iPhone or iPad or whatever, or even one that's damaged. So yeah, it's good giving people options. Definitely a great thing that Apple doesn't do very often. But Taylor, do you have any other thoughts? Do you have any other thoughts on this topic?
Nope.
All right, sweet. So moving on. So you guys heard us talk a little bit about Tap to Pay, which is a new feature that's coming to the iPhone, which is kind of Apple's alternative to things like the Square payment terminal, where basically you can receive payments from iPhone and you can, from iPhone basically. So if you're a merchant or you have a small business, this is a great option instead of going and having to pay for something like a Square card reader. You can now just simply use your iPhone, receive payments that way. And this has actually started to be seen out in the wild. I think it was Michael NTFTWT on Twitter. He posted a tweet where he was in the Apple Store basically, and the Apple Store employee there received a payment through their iPhone. So it's starting to roll out slowly, I guess. I think with iOS 15.5, I think it's supposed to come out. It's supposed to slowly roll out now. So that's exciting. Vyyyper, what are your thoughts on this whole Tap to Pay thing? Because we've gotten a few thoughts from some other content creators and stuff, but we'd love to hear yours about this new service.
Well, this is interesting because I feel like this is like a double-edged sword for smaller merchants, right? Because if you're using Apple Pay, if you're using this feature, you have to pay a percentage to Apple, and I think they also might have to pay a percentage to a credit card merchant for the use of their credit card. So, a lot of times merchants, they don't like to put themselves in positions where they have to pay out fees that take away from their bottom line. But on the other hand, if you offer consumers more ways to pay, they are more likely to patronize your merchant, your shop. So I kind of get frustrated with, like, when I'm out in the wild sometimes and I come across a business that does not have the ability for me to use Apple Pay because it's easy, it's quick, it's safest way to pay right now besides any other contactless payment solution. So I kind of feel like, especially given what we've been through with the pandemic and how NFC and contactless payments have kind of exploded since the pandemic, at least here in the U.S. I know across the world it's already been a thing, but in the U.S., we were slow to adopt it into the pandemic. So the fact that Apple has this tap to pay feature on iPhones now makes these other smaller businesses that much more convenient for users that want to buy things from them because they have the option of using their iPhone and they can pay. Again, it's easy and quick. A lot of people here in the U.S. at the very least have iPhones, so I mean, you got that win. But are the merchants going to be willing to pay the fees in order to have this feature at their disposal? Again, they're going to be losing money that they pay in fees, but they may end up giving themselves more foot traffic. So it's all about how much are you willing to sacrifice to potentially make more money. So it's interesting.
Yeah, because I think it's not like Apple Pay being adopted, like, or even contactless hasn't been that big of an issue here in the UK, at least. Like, I don't even carry my wallet around with me anymore. I think I just carry like just one card. But most places accept Apple Pay, but I'm sure like there are places in the US that still don't accept it, and this is a great option for not just the customer but also the merchant, where they don't have to go and sign up to Square or whatever. And it'll be interesting to see like what the fees are between using this new contactless payment method. So I'm excited to see people adopt it and see what the fees are and if people are actually interested in this kind of thing. But yeah, Taylor, do you have any thoughts?
No, you guys said it all. You guys said it all.
Sweet. All right. Do you wanna talk about the next topic then, Taylor?
All right. So new Apple TV to launch in second half of 2022. Lower price possible. Vyyyper, I see that face, man. What's on your mind, man?
Listen, man. The need for Apple TV is on the decline. If it's not already there, we're going there. I used to own an Apple TV, but when I bought a newer TV back in 2020, I was number one with my smart TV. I no longer need an Apple TV because the Apple TV app is on that TV. But I'm also a gamer, so I own an Xbox and a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X. Guess what they have on them? Apple TV. So I don't need a dedicated Apple TV box anymore because I can run Apple TV off my Xbox or my smart TV or even my iPhone, and I can mirror it to the TV if I want to do that. So the need for an actual Apple TV box is getting less and less by the day. But what I will say, though, is that with these news and rumors of this new Apple mixed reality headset, if they somehow can integrate Apple TV or integrate the Apple TV experience into the headset, then you have my attention. But as Apple TV is currently constructed, I just don't see the need for it anymore. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I've got an Apple TV. My family has an Apple TV, but the only reason why we do is because we have a bit of an older smart TV and we haven't upgraded as of yet. And I think it's great for those kind of people who maybe don't want to go and spend money, even though like TVs are pretty cheap now. Smart TVs are pretty cheap. Maybe somebody who doesn't want to go and buy a new TV, they can just get the Apple TV. But as of right now, I think the price for just like the Apple TV box it's a bit much, especially since like with this newer one, for example. I remember when they first came up with the newer style of Apple TV with the Siri remote, that kind of stuff. They did the whole redesign and they put a big emphasis on like, oh yeah, you can now game on this device. And there's like the remote had what's it called, like a gyroscope or whatever, it like senses like when you move it and stuff. And there was an opportunity for like games like bowling and things like that. It basically became kind of like a Wii. And then they released this new TV remote, which I figured out by trying that it doesn't have the same sensors. So it kind of loses that purpose. But then, yeah, as you said, Vyyyper, like another reason why people will buy an Apple TV is for Apple TV Plus. But now that's basically everywhere. Like you've got it on your all of your Apple devices. You've got it on most smart TVs. You've got it on your Xbox, PS5, all of that stuff. So yeah, I think the need for an Apple TV is kind of going away. It really is declining. And it's gonna be interesting to see if Apple does lower the price, if it hires the demand, maybe. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Taylor, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with what Vyyyper was saying. To me, I think with everything, I think that if you're able to get, an app versus a physical thing, I think that for me would be better. And I know this is a bit off topic, but me as a console gamer, I prefer to buy the game on the system versus going out to a store and buying the game that way, because I'll just lose the disc, So
Or the disc gets scratched.
right, exactly. So I think that honestly, if they do come out with this, there's going to be very little people that buy it. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, even now, like, you could, like, one of the reasons why I'd have an Apple TV is for AirPlay, but now you can literally just have AirPlay on your Mac. But even some TVs support AirPlay now, so it doesn't really even make sense to buy an Apple TV if you've got a newer TV. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see if Apple does make any difference with this new Apple TV, and if it does sell more, I mean, good for Apple. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Exactly.
moving on to a little bit more of the software side of things for Apple. As we're coming up to Dub, we've got some really exciting, well, we hope it's going to be exciting stuff coming with the softwares. One of the things that Apple has, they did a press release the other day talking about, well, showing some previews of innovative accessibility features combining the power of hardware, software, and machine learning. So a couple of things you can do now, or you'll be, no, not now, but you'll be able to do very soon with the softwares that are coming out later on this year, is they're going to basically add more functionality for disabled people. So for example, one of the things that they're showing here is with LiDAR and with AR, your iPhone will now be able to detect if a door is closed or open, which, I mean, it's kind of cool for blind people. It's definitely going to be
awesome.
helpful. Another thing, you can now, for whatever reason, well, not now, I keep saying now, but you'll be able to mirror your Apple Watch's screen to your iPhone. Don't exactly know what functionality that has. I guess you can see the screen a bit better for people who maybe can't have struggles seeing the screen. Having it shown on a bigger screen might help them. And it also has, yeah, so there's that. And there's also going to be more like gestures that you're going to do with your Apple Watch, iPhone, and stuff like that. So it's cool to see. Like, I think Apple is one of the companies that really is putting a lot of emphasis in making iPhones for everyone kind of thing, or like their devices work for everyone, even blind people. And I think it's great to see these kind of other steps, these little things that they keep adding into the software to make it better and more accessible for people to use their devices and have a good experience with it. What are you guys' thoughts on this announcement, and what do you think it holds for the future, I guess, with Apple?
Well, the cool thing about Apple is that they have always been one of the leading companies when it comes to accessibility options for their users and making their devices as easy and accessible to use to people for people as possible. They have the assistive settings on iPhone that allow you to have an actual home button or virtual home button on iPhone for those people who need the home button. Anytime you set up an iPhone, they allow you to change the size of the icons and the display in general. So if you want to make icons bigger or look more zoomed in, you can do that for people that have deteriorating eyesight. So Apple they've always seemed like it seems like they've always been at the forefront of accessibility for people, just to make sure that their devices are compatible for the maximum amount of people to use. And that's just something that Apple's been good at for a long time. So it's cool to see them. They're continuously upgrading and making accessibility better for more and more people.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And also, before you share anything, Taylor, I also wanted to mention there's also another cool feature where basically you're going to have live captions. So like if somebody's they're hard of hearing and they're having a conversation with someone, they can see a transcription of what the other person is saying. And I think even like when they're it says whether they're on a FaceTime call or video conferencing, they can basically see live captions for that stuff, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Taylor, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, no, I definitely like it. I So I don't know if I know that there's like certain accessibility features on Apple Watch, but like me as a handicapped person that walks with crutches, I think that that would be awesome to have gestures on the Apple Watch and different things that you can do. Because myself, sometimes I'll be walking and I'll get a text message or something, and quickly responding just with gestures or something would be awesome. So to see that kind of thing advance is definitely awesome to me, and I definitely want to see that advance a little bit more.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts before we move on? All right, sweet. So, seeming as we're coming up to Dub, as we said, iOS 16 is right around the corner, but there's a rumor that it's expected later than usual because due to buggy software. This does not sound good, considering the past couple of years have been a bit of a roller coaster ride with bugs on iOS. And of course, COVID was kind of part of the reason why it happened. I guess they couldn't put as much work into these softwares. But so this is just a rumor. Don't take this as fact or take it more as fiction, I guess. The iOS 16 public beta 1 will be pushed back because of the beta buggy software. And of course, developer beta, I'm sure will be coming out pretty much the same time as it does every year. But it's going to be buggy, so don't install it on your main device. Don't
do what I did years ago.
I've done it so many times as well, and I've like almost wrecked my Mac by installing software. But yeah, so as soon as this beta comes out, don't download it. Wait for people to try it out if you really want to try it. So then they can tell you how it's going and stuff like that. But it's not a good sign that we're already hearing that it's going to be a bit buggy in the first beta.
Oh, man.
It's kind of funny because people get crazy when they hear about things being delayed or moved back. Listen, we are talking about iOS. You do not want iOS dropping in September being a buggy mess. We've been down that road. It is not a good road to be down when you have the iPhone crashing and apps not working properly because they didn't take the time that they needed to make sure that the OS was up to par for a mass public release. So if they got to move iOS 16 back a little bit to make sure they iron out the bugs and make it more usable for prime time come September, then let them do what they got to do. Delayed is better than a mess, okay? It's better delayed than being a mess come September or whenever they release it down the road. So I will gladly, I don't really care too much about their beta release being delayed. As long as it's ready for prime time come September and new iPhone release, that is what matters most to Apple and Apple consumers.
Exactly.
I completely agree. Yeah. Apple don't release a product that's not ready for the public because it doesn't end well. Good thing they didn't release AirPower when they did, because from the sound of things, that would not have been very good. But yeah, so that's a bit about Apple news that we've had over the past week. Now we're kind of moving into Android territory. And Taylor, do you want to give us I guess a little snippet about what we're talking about next?
Sure. So Google I/O highlights for Apple users, sneak peek at Pixel 7, Pixel Watch, and more.
So I didn't watch the event. Did you watch the event? Did you, Vyyyper?
I did. I thought, yep.
Yeah. So you guys know more about this than me. I just saw the news articles. But yeah, so I mean, some of the products they've been releasing is exciting. I like the direction that Google is going in terms of hardware. Apart from the tablet side of things, which the tablet looks like some cheap Android tablet from Wish. But what are your guys' thoughts on what Google released, or more than released, kind of teased as well?
So we can make fun of Google as much as we want to make fun of Google, but make no mistake, Google is at the forefront of AI technology. The Google Assistant is leads above anything else that's out there. It's crapping on Alexa. It's curb stomping Siri. It is at the top of the food chain. And every year they make more and more advancements to the Google Assistant and just their AI in general. Some of the stuff that they showed off last week at I/O, which is incredible. They had a pair of glasses that will literally allow you to have a conversation with someone of a different language in real time, because the glasses can translate what is being said in real time and allow you to communicate with that person. That stuff is crazy. They're using AI. They're putting more AI into their Google Lens software. Just all the other stuff that they're doing, not to mention the hardware that they announced. They gave us a sneak peek at the Pixel 7, the Pixel tablet that's coming in 2023. Finally, the long rumored Pixel Watch is a real thing. Some of the commentary behind the hardware was that some tech pundits were a little confused that Google unveiled the Pixel 7 or showed it off because they kind of felt like that would take sales away from the Pixel 6 Pro that is out right now, because we know the Pixel 7 is not coming until later this year. There may be some truth to that, but like I always say, if you need a new phone, you need a new phone now. You need to get the phone now and not worry about what's coming out later. But they may have shot themselves in the foot, but I don't really think so. I think they really just wanted to get ahead of the leak because they know inevitably the leaks are going to happen. So I think they just wanted to get in front of those leaks per se. I think the most intriguing thing that I'll probably announce with the Pixel Watch. We've been talking about this thing for years now, and the fact that it's finally a reality, I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table with that Pixel Watch. So Google is doing some good things. We'll have to wait till later this year when everything is out on the table to see how it all comes together. But so far, it seems like they're on the right track.
Yeah, I really like how they're kind of taking the Apple approach of things, and they're kind of trying to build their own ecosystem. And I think, they're like light years ahead of the competition in terms of AI. I think it also is because of the fact of how much data they collect compared to other companies. And I think it was interesting, to be honest, to see them kind of tease a lot of products like, oh, this is coming later this year. This is coming later this year. This is even coming next year. I don't exactly know if that's going to work as kind of a marketing strategy, because you're kind of hyping people up for this product now. And then when it comes out, people will be like, oh yeah, Google's coming out like, yeah, you remember the thing we showed you back in May? Yeah, you could buy it now. I don't know if that's going to kind of like, especially with the Pixel 7, but I think it also is a good idea to announce these products a little bit earlier, because it does generate that hype, but also it kind of stops the leaks from coming out and getting people to have, I guess, different or higher expectations than what Google's actually going to be released. I mean, we've seen that with Apple many times. Like, they're like, oh, USB-C is coming to the iPhone and it doesn't come, or like they're like, oh, Square Apple Watch, it doesn't come. But Google's trying to kind of I guess control those leaks in a way, so then people don't get that, like, they hire their expectations and then Google underdelivers those expectations. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I can't wait to see the Pixel Watch, see how it'll work, see how it'll compare to the Apple Watch as well, because I think it's really gonna be an interesting watch to look out for whenever it does come out. And even Pixel 6a, I think Pixel 6a is gonna do really well, especially the price point that it's at. When compared to like, for example, the iPhone SE, it just like completely destroys it in terms of at least design, and also AI and certain parts of the software for sure.
Right.
But Taylor, do you have any other thoughts about some of the products that they announced? I know you're really excited for the Pixel Watch yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I am really excited for the Pixel Watch. In terms of design, I think that it's not bad. Yes, and like I've said before, I think that the bezels are just way too chunky, way too big, way too ugly. But this is the first watch they've done. Other companies have done better. So I kind of expected better out of Google, knowing that there are watches out there that have slimmer bezels and whatnot. So I don't know.
But I think the thing with Google, I think they, more than focusing on like aesthetics and design, they're more like focusing on the functionality and the software. Like, they put a lot of money into software, and they don't put as much money in, I think, with hardware.
Right.
Because I think software is really the big thing that's driving Google right now. Like, Android is available pretty much everywhere. Everybody has Google. Everybody has YouTube. They're really trying to push that, and with their hardware, they're kind of showing what potential it has if they had full control over everything, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah. And as far as that goes, like, from what I've seen, I think that the software is really good for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So I guess Google I/O, exciting stuff. I didn't really see anything else apart from the hardware. I know there's been some changes to Google Maps. I think actually the next thing we're talking about, is Google Maps is getting a new impressive immersive view, which is, I think it kind of reminds me of Apple's one, but like a million times better. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say better, but it looks like more realistic. It kind of looks like a model thing that they've built up, especially this video of London. It looks pretty realistic. So yeah, I really like what Google is doing with their AI, with their software. It really is going to be game changing. But do you guys have any other thoughts before we move on to the next topic here? No? All right.
no, not me.
Sweet. So, Google has also removed the headphone jack from the Pixel 6a from the A series.
Yay.
I mean, I didn't even know the Pixel 5a had a headphone jack up until I saw this article from Mac Rumors.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, I guess it was time for it to go. I don't know how many people use the headphone jack on the 5A anyway. Do you have one, Vyyyper, or have you had one and used the headphone jack?
Yes, I do have a Pixel 5a, and I have never used the headphone jack on the phone. I haven't used a headphone jack in a very long time. And I think for most regular consumers, the headphone jack is a thing of the past. Now, if you're like creators or if you're like hardcore audiophiles that need the headphone jack for like some type of audio creating or music editing, then yeah, of course you're going to be mad that there's no headphone jack. But for the everyday Joe, the average Joe, the everyday public, man, we've been able to have headphone jack since 2016. We're good. We've moved on.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it definitely is about time that Google's like, nah, no more.
Yeah.
Man, listen,
You don't need
I'm gonna say this. Every time I go to the gym or somewhere that I see people with wired headphones and an adapter, it's just like, why? Just buy a Bluetooth headset, you're all set. You know?
People can no longer have the excuse now where like Bluetooth headphones are expensive, because you can go on Amazon and pick a pair up for like $15. It's not even that. They may not be amazing, but they're Bluetooth earbuds.
I used to have a pair for like 20. Actually, I do have a pair upstairs for $25. So, you know what?
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
And I mean, they work. They may not sound amazing, but the average consumer doesn't care really about sound quality. They just want something that is cost effective, that works, that'll do what they want it to do. And like, yeah, I think the headphone jack, I don't even know why Google still was pushing the fact that it had one. Like, they made yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
How much fun they made at Apple for removing the headphone jack, and they've now completely killed it. Rest in peace, headphone jack.
Sounds like another company we know, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
Sure.
Our last news story of the day before we move on to a couple of questions for you, Vyyyper. Elon Musk apparently has put his $44 billion Twitter deal on hold. Which
Damn.
I mean is interesting, and the reason why is because 5% of its users are spam or fake accounts. I honestly thought it probably would have been bigger, but 5% is still a big chunk of Twitter, to be honest, and the fact that they're all fake accounts, kind of weird. Not good.
Sorry. I am sorry. You are Elon Musk. You are one of, if not the richest man in the world. And you couldn't do your due diligence before considering purchasing Twitter? Like, if you're going to make a large acquisition like Twitter, wouldn't it behoove you to do a little research to figure out what you're getting before you put an offer down? I mean, it only makes common sense, or maybe common sense is not so common anymore. I don't know. But Elon, get it together, my dude. Get it together. You got people over there at Twitter like worrying about their job. They're trying to leave. They're worrying. They're scared. They don't know what's going to happen next. And you're like, oh, the deal's on hold because Twitter has a bunch of bots. You should have known that. You are on Twitter. You don't have an excuse, Elon. You've been using Twitter for like, what, 10 years or so? I don't know how long you've been on Twitter, but he's been on Twitter a while. He is an avid Twitter user. He should have known what he was getting himself into when he was thinking about purchasing the platform in the first place. I don't understand this stuff. I don't understand.
And I think he even said like he wants to get rid of all these like crypto scammers or these bots. Like he already knew going into this that there was going to be fake users, but then he's like, "Oh, actually, 5%. I don't know if I want to buy Twitter anymore." Some people are saying that he's trying to avoid because like in the contract that he's signed or whatever, if he decides to back out of the deal, he has to pay like $1 billion or whatever. Um, some people are saying that he's trying to avoid paying that. He's kind of having second thoughts. But I mean, personally, I think Elon's just gonna go through with it anyway. I think that's what some people are saying. But Vyyyper, what are your thoughts on this whole like Elon buying Twitter thing? Do you think it's a good thing for the platform, or do you think it's bad? And what do you think are
No,
going to be the effects of it?
no. I wish he would have just left it alone. I don't know why he wants to buy Twitter. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. I'm not going to get into all of that, but I don't know what Elon wants to accomplish by buying Twitter. Like Twitter, it's not the perfect platform, but there is no social platform out there that is perfect. All of them have flaws. All of them have their bad actors. All of them have things that they could do better. Why are you messing with Twitter though? Like, what are you doing here, bro? What are you doing? So yeah, I wish you would have left it alone, but here we are. So now we have to see how it plays out. But hopefully, maybe he doesn't end up buying Twitter. I don't know, but he should have just left it alone in the first place, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, if it does
Completely
go
agree.
through, it can only go two ways. It can either get worse or get better. Hopefully, it gets better, but I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see why this whole purchase is happening. And I mean, so personally, like some of the things that he's been saying that he wants to do with Twitter sound pretty decent. Like he wants to get rid of a lot of spam and bots. He wants to kind of make it a place for free speech, because a lot of people on Twitter are being censored. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see if it even happens in the end, because it looks like it might not. But yeah. So I guess that's all the news stories we had for today's episode. And now, Vyyyper, we have some questions for you that are kind of off topic with kind of what's going on with the news. But I guess some of the stuff is still relevant today. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is what are your we were talking a little bit about the Apple Watch and even the Pixel Watch. And what is your opinion on kind of like, do you prefer a round smartwatch or a square smartwatch, and why?
As the captain of Team Apple, I am solely in the corner of Team Square Watch. I remember when I had Samsung, I think I had the Gear S3 back in the day. And obviously, that was a round watch. And I liked the watch. I enjoyed it. But one of the issues with that particular watch was that when you were trying to look at some of the text, it was cut off because of the round edges. So it kind of cut off some text. So I kind of have that experience still. Now, I'm pretty sure it will be the experience of the display and everything will be improved today on round watches. But still, I just prefer a square watch where I can get all my text without no interruptions. And it just looks so classy, so executive. So I am Team Square Watch.
Yeah, same here. Like I owned an Android smartwatch, and actually I still own one, but and I used it up until a couple months ago. And having switched back to the Apple Watch, like yeah, the Square Watch is just so much better for viewing content on. Like yes, I kind of prefer having a round watch just because it looks classy, it looks nice. But honestly, the Square Watch looks a bit more modern, and it's just more functional than like a round watch. Yeah. Taylor, do you have it? Do you agree with that, or?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, he
for
implements
sure.
a smartwatch. You better have an opinion on smartwatches. What you got for us, man?
No, listen, man. I kind of I love my Apple Watch, but at the same time, I'm kind of ready for a change. Because like there's a lot of people saying out there, I kind of wish I had something that looks like a regular watch, something that doesn't stand out as much. For me, I think that either or is fine with me. But that's my opinion.
The
Sweet.
man whose literal logo is of a square watch is talking about how he wants a change. What is this? Like, what is this podcast right now? What is going on? I don't understand this
Yeah.
I do also want to point out, Benji. I don't know if you noticed, but I have my logo, not the podcast logo. Now that Vyyyper's saying that,
it's fine. Never mind. I just realized that as well. I was like, wait, that's not our podcast logo. Oh well. Anyway, let's continue. So moving on.
Rookie
Another
mistake.
question for you, Vyyyper. Another question for you, Vyyyper. So what are your thoughts on foldable devices? Because I know you've had experiences with foldables in the past. What do you think about them, and do you think they're the future, or do you think they're kind of like a stepping stone before we move on, I guess, to the future?
You know, it is at this moment right now in time that we have to pour one out from my Galaxy Z Fold 2, which I just got rid of recently. I had it for about 2 years. It was a lovely device. It was a glimpse into what phones might be in the future, but I don't know if foldable phones are the future. I think they're more of a stepping stone into to the next evolution of technology. As much as I love my Z Fold 2, over time I really got tired of opening it up to get the most use out of it, because the way Samsung designed it, that cover display was so thin and so narrow that you really can't use it for anything like hefty or major. Yeah, you can use it for like a quick glance or a quick scroll of Twitter or something like that, but using it like you would use a normal like smartphone, like an S22 Ultra or something, was just not feasible on that Fold 2 or the Fold 3 for that matter. So I don't know. Now, I know everybody is hot about this new Vivo X foldable that's out, and I know that's a little bit wider with its cover screen, so maybe that might be more practical. But I don't know. I just think foldable phones are a stepping stone, and I don't think they're the future. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, and I like, honestly, I think the best implementation of a foldable screen is something that like you can actually use the outer display. And it's not like a narrow weird aspect ratio like the Z Fold. I don't even think like the Z Flip. I don't really see how well that fits into, I guess, the tech world. I mean, yes, it's cool. It folds in half. It's kind of like more of a fashion accessory, I think. But I think like the best. I think I completely agree with you, like, as well. It's kind of like a stepping stone towards I guess AR, VR, that kind of future. And it's not really going to be. I think until foldables kind of, there's less trade-offs. Like right now with a foldable, you trade off so many things. You trade off water resistance, durability, like the screen inside is plastic and stuff like that. You're trading off a lot of things just to have that foldable function. I think until we kind of have less trade-offs, I think that when we have less trade-offs, that's when foldables may be kind of more prominent in the tech space. But yeah, Taylor, do you have any thoughts on foldables that you would like to share with us?
I don't know. I mean, at first I wasn't a foldable person, but seeing it come out more and more, and doing very well, more people buying it, even your average person, I think that there's going to be, more of a future, and we're going to see pretty much every company out there, which already we're seeing a lot, but we're going to be seeing it just more and more coming out. So I think for those like myself who didn't like it, is just going to have to get used to it at this point, you know? So is there a future? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I definitely see it growing more and more. So, where do you see tech in the next 10 years, Vyyyper?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Where does Vyyyper see tech in the next 10 years? Ooh, that's hard to answer, man. Tech advances so rapidly, but at some facets, it advances so slowly. I still
Yep.
cannot believe right now we are rocking with lithium ion batteries. I thought we would have been moved on to something better by now, but nope, we're still here.
Mhm.
So in that way, I don't know how much more advanced we'll be with battery tech, because it seems like companies are taking their sweet time or something with battery. As far as smartphones and tech in general, though, I think we're gonna be using these regular slab of smartphones less and less and less. I think it could be more about wearables in the future, especially given the rise of augmented reality. I mean, we've
Yeah.
already had a few augmented reality glasses out there, like Google Glass. I know Facebook has, or they're not really augmented reality, but Facebook has their Ray-Ban stories. Snapchat had that spectacle, but those were just like early adopter products. But with Apple introducing LiDAR on their Apple products, getting all that LiDAR data, and other companies working with AR like Google and Samsung, I think augmented reality is definitely going to be much, much bigger in the next 10 years than what it is now. And it's really going to change the way that we use technology in our everyday, day-to-day lives. Because that's the cool thing about augmented technology. It doesn't take you out of the world. It only integrates with the world around you. So you could be wearing a pair of glasses and look at a restaurant, and you can have the restaurant menu pop up in your field of vision without even walking into it, or something like that. So that's where I think technology in the next 10 years, more integration with augmented reality and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to be interesting within the next couple of years. Like we've got projects like Neuralink and things like that, where it's kind of connecting the digital world with the real world. And yeah, I completely agree. I think we're going to start using these phones less and less. And because I mean, as of right now, like smartwatches, or no, not smartwatches, but like smartphones and other tech that we use, like iPads, they're kind of, I think they've kind of reached a peak where there's not really that much more headroom where it can go. There's not much improvement that can be made. And that's where I think AR is going to come in, where it's going to kind of slowly replace these everyday items that we use. And probably in the next 10 years, maybe Apple won't even be selling iPhones anymore, or at least they won't, that won't be their main best selling product. I think we're really going to see that AR is really going to take a front seat with things. It's also going to be interesting to see kind of car tech and see where that goes with like self-driving cars and automation.
I can't
even
wait.
home automation. But
yeah, that's another thing that you're going to see. You're probably going to see a lot more EVs on the road in the next 10 years.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Like we're already seeing so many different projects this year and the last couple of years. So
my brother-in-law has a Tesla, and I was with him today, and I was just saying, like, we've been seeing it more and more and more, and I can't wait to see what the other companies are going to do, and I can't wait to see more of these cars out there, because it's going to be amazing, because again, for a person with a disability like me, I'm not able to drive a normal car. And I think for me, I would love to have a Tesla self-drive me, just put it into the computer, where I want to go and have it take me there. That would be something.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm seeing Teslas are everywhere here. Same with any other, like a lot of other EVs. Like here in the UK, there's a lot of people that are really adopting this new standard that will, I guess, soon will be a standard. But yeah, the next 10 years of tech is going to be crazy, and I think it's probably going to be a bit different from what we expect. Just like always, I don't think like 50 years ago people would never have guessed that we would be having calls like this live streaming on YouTube, and like people are actually going to be able to make careers out of like just talking to a camera and showing things. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But
yeah,
a couple of other questions, and then we're gonna start wrapping up here. But what we've got WWDCs coming up very soon. What do you have any predictions for it, Vyyyper? Anything you would like to see? Any features maybe in some of the softwares that you're looking forward to at WW?
I don't know about prediction, but I would like to see a overhaul of the settings in iOS. Right now, if you really want to change, and most iOS applications, if you want to change the settings are not inside of that particular application like they are on Android, which it makes more sense. It's more intuitive to me. You have to go to the general iOS settings application to change settings on a particular app in iOS, and it's ridiculous. So I would love to see Apple shift away from that and have the individual setting for an app buried or not buried, but put inside of that app. So if I'm in the camera app or whatever, and I want to change the setting to the camera, I can just do it from within the camera app. Or if I want to change the calendar settings, I can do it from within the calendar app. I mean, these are things that I should be able to do that just make sense to me. But for whatever reason with iOS, no, it's not that simple. So I would love to see a settings overhaul, but who knows?
Yeah.
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that. But yeah, Taylor, do you wanna go ahead with the next question?
Sure. So, Vyyyper, I did see you nodding earlier when we were talking about this. As a console gamer, do you prefer getting games on system, physical copies, or things like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus?
I have not brought a physical game probably within in the last 5 years. Everything is digital with me. Why in the blue monkey's nipple would I go to a store when I could literally go into the next room, turn on my Xbox or my PlayStation 5 and buy the game from the system? Or better yet, pick up my iPhone, go into the PlayStation app and buy the game right there in the app. Why would I drive to a store to buy a game where I can do it right from the comfort of my own home? So I am definitely on team digital.
Dude.
I know that there are downsides to digital. You don't technically own the product. You're more like you're licensing it, this, that, and the other. It might not be available in the future, this, that, and the other. I don't care. By the time that stuff happens, the stuff will be irrelevant. I won't care. But right now,
Exactly.
the way I feel, I'm team digital. Let's go.
Not to mention, like, for example, the Xbox Series S, which me and my siblings we just got, that doesn't even have a DVD player or anything. Right. It's just all digital. Yeah, I think one thing that sucks about some consoles though is the amount of storage they give you. Like you have to buy expansion cards, and those are like cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah, for sure.
Like at least the Xbox one does. But yeah, so I guess those are all the other questions. Unless Taylor, you thought of anything in the past couple minutes that you want to ask Vyyyper?
No. And actually, I do have a question. Is there anything Vyyyper wants to ask us?
I was just about to ask that.
You know what? I'm glad you asked. I do have a question for you, Mr. Smartwatch UIT. Why did you change the name from Apple Watch to Mr. Apple Monster? To Mr. Smartwatch. Apple Monster was so unique in the tech space, but you changed it. Why did you do that?
Well, honestly, like, so, you know, I was Apple Monster for a little bit, and then I went to TA Tech, and now I'm Mr. Smartwatch. The reason I went from Apple Monster, TA Tech, whatever you want to say, to Mr. Smartwatch was because I feel like there's a lot of people in that space already talking about the tech news and, you know, new releases and stuff like that. And my channel in particular wasn't doing good. So I did kind of what you did and started up a whole new channel to see where that takes me, because I honestly too was ready for a change and I wanted to do something different, something that not everybody is doing in the tech space. So I'm hoping that this leads me somewhere.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of starting new channels, Benji, you yourself started a new channel as well. So how's that going for you?
I mean, it would be great if I uploaded more, but no, honestly, like I've been doing a lot of short form content, and that's been doing pretty well. I've been getting decent amount of subs from it. I think every short has gotten over 1,000 views, which is not bad considering the channel's basically new.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just currently working on basically like recording more videos and working on more on that. It's just like work and life has just been a bit crazy, so I haven't had that much time to put into the new channel, but it's going to be good. I can't wait to see where it takes me.
Gotcha. Cool. Oh, that's all I got.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you, Vyyyper, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We've had a great conversation here. At least I think.
Yeah, definitely.
If you guys listening or watching this podcast haven't heard of Vyyyper or the Man About Tech before, definitely go check him out. The links will be in the show notes or in the description wherever you're listening or consuming this content on. If you guys want to follow us, me or Taylor, the links will be in the description below or show notes as well as all of the news articles that we have mentioned. Those will be linked in there as well. This was episode 32 of the Tech Unlocked podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next week.